They came begging after 17 years of lies. My dad opened the door. Then shut them out forever. Alright. Part 3 is finally here. If you haven't seen part 1 and 2, links are in the description, watch those first. 3 weeks with Warren and I'd almost forgotten what it felt like to live in constant tension. We had a routine now. Wake up around 7. Coffee on the porch. Warren would read the news while I checked emails. Then we'd tackle whatever project he had going that weekend. That Saturday it was the garden. He wanted to build raised beds for vegetables. Something about fresh tomatoes tasting better when you grow them yourself. I was measuring boards in the garage when I saw the cars through the window. 2 of them. Pulling up to the curb. I recognized them immediately. Mom's silver sedan. Howard and Ruth's black SUV. My stomach dropped. Warren. He looked up from the saw my face. Turned to look out the window. His expression didn't change. Just went very still. Stay inside, I said. This is my house. His voice was calm. I'm not hiding. I know. But let me handle this first. I walked out before he could argue. Down the driveway. Fast enough that they couldn't make it to the door. All of them were getting out of the cars. Mom. Devin. Howard and Ruth. And Sloane. She looked uncomfortable. Like she didn't want to be there but didn't have a choice. Mom saw me first. Her face did that thing, the hopeful, desperate, wounded expression she used when she wanted sympathy. Sweetie, stop. I held up a hand. Right there. She froze halfway across the lawn. Devin was behind her. Howard and Ruth flanking them like backup. Sloane hung back by the car. We just need to talk, Mom said. Voice shaking. Tears already forming. Please. Just hear us out. You don't want to talk, I said. You want forgiveness. Her mouth opened. Closed. She didn't deny it. Howard stepped forward. Chin up. Authority voice activated. We're still family, he said. And family works things out. We came here to what? I cut him off. To explain? To make excuses? To tell me I'm being unreasonable again? You're being dramatic, Ruth said. Quieter. But still that same tone. The one that said I was the problem. I almost laughed. Dramatic. Right. Because finding out my entire childhood was a lie is just me being dramatic. We did what we thought was best, Mom started. For who? Because it sure as hell wasn't for me. Devin finally spoke up. Look, we know you're angry. I'm not angry. And I wasn't. Not anymore. I'm done. We made mistakes, Mom said. Crying now. Real tears this time. But we're trying to fix it. Doesn't that count for something? You had 17 years to fix it. You chose not to. We're here now. Because I found the truth. Not because you told me. Howard's jaw tightened. This hostility isn't productive. Neither was lying to me my entire life. You don't understand the full situation, Ruth said. It was complicated. No. It was simple. Mom cheated with Devin. Got pregnant. Dad refused to pretend. You all pressured him to stay. And when he wouldn't, you made him the villain. Silence. Mom looked like I'd slapped her. Good. We just want to talk, she said again. Broken record. Please. All of us. Together. We can work through this. There's nothing to work through. You're my son. And you spent 17 years lying to me about my father. Howard stepped forward again. That authoritative stance. The one he probably thought still worked. We're still family, he said firmly. And you need to. The front door opened behind me. I didn't turn around. Didn't need to. I felt Warren step onto the porch. Heard his footsteps on the wooden steps. He walked down the path and stood next to me. Calm. Unbothered. Like none of them had any power over him anymore. And just like that, everything shifted. Warren didn't say anything at first. Just stood there next to me. Hands in his pockets. Face neutral. But I watched them all freeze. Mom's mouth opened but no sound came out. Devin took a half step back. Even Howard looked uncertain. 17 years and they were still afraid of facing him. Howard recovered first. Straightened his shoulders. Put on that patriarch voice. Warren, we came to. No. One word. That's all it took. Howard actually stopped talking. I'd never seen that happen before. Warren's voice was level. Calm. You came because you want something. I'm not interested. Ruth stepped forward. Softer approach. We just want to make things right. There's nothing right to make. You made your choices. Warren, please, Mom's voice cracked. Tears streaming now. We were trying to keep the family together. Warren cut her off mid-sentence. You were trying to avoid consequences. The silence that followed was brutal. Mom looked like she'd been punched. Devin finally found his voice. Warren, I know I made mistakes, but... Warren just looked at him. Didn't say a word. Just turned his head and looked. Devin's sentence died in his throat. I watched him struggle. Try to find words. Try to meet Warren's eyes. He couldn't. 17 years later and he still couldn't stand in front of him. Warren let the silence stretch. Then spoke again. Same calm tone. You all had a chance. His eyes moved across each of them. Multiple chances. To tell the truth. To do the right thing. To protect him. He gestured toward me without looking away from them. We were protecting him, Mom started. You were protecting yourselves. That landed like a bomb. Ruth's face went tight. That's not fair? Fair? Warren's voice didn't rise. Didn't need to. What's fair about telling a child his father abandoned him? What's fair about blocking visitation and calling it protection? You left, Howard started. I filed for divorce. There's a difference. Warren's hands stayed in his pockets. Completely relaxed. I left a situation that was destroying me. You chose to lie about why. Mom took a shaky step forward. We thought it would be easier for him if he believed. Easier for who? Not for him. He spent 17 years thinking I didn't want him. We didn't know what else to do. You could have told the truth. Warren's voice was so calm it was almost gentle. Almost. You could have said your mother made a choice. Your father couldn't accept it. Sometimes marriages end. That's the truth. It's not that simple, Ruth tried. It is that simple. You just didn't want to face it. Devin spoke again. Voice tight. I've tried to be a good father. To which child? Warren looked at him. Because you sure as hell weren't a good brother. Devin flinched. I loved her, he started. Then you should have waited until she wasn't married to your brother. No anger. Just facts. Delivered like he was commenting on the weather. It was devastating. Howard tried to regain control. We're all here now. We can move forward. Forward to what? You want forgiveness without change. Comfort without accountability. Warren shook his head. That's not how this works. We're trying, Mom sobbed. You're trying now because he found the truth. Not because you told him. Warren's eyes swept across all of them. You all had a chance, he said quietly. Every single day for 17 years, you had a chance to do the right thing. To tell him the truth. To let him decide for himself. Silence. You chose lies. His voice didn't waver. Every single one of you. He paused. Let that sink in. And I chose to leave. That statement hit harder than anything Warren could have shouted. And I chose to leave. Not abandoned. Not ran away. Not gave up. Chose. Mom's face crumpled. She dropped to her knees right there on the lawn. We can fix this, she sobbed. Please. We can be a family again. We can work through this. I stepped forward. We were never a family. You were a lie. Howard's face went red. That's enough. No. My voice was flat. It's not nearly enough. You spent 17 years telling me my father was a coward. That he abandoned me. You let me hate him. We thought it was better, Ruth started. Better for who? I cut her off. Because it sure as hell wasn't better for me. Warren spoke again. Same calm tone. I was unreasonable for not raising my brother's child? For not pretending my wife didn't betray me? Howard tried the authority card again. You could have been the bigger person? The bigger person? Warren's eyebrows raised slightly. You wanted me to sacrifice my self-respect to make your lives easier. That's not being bigger. That's being smaller. Ruth's voice shook. You could have forgiven. Forgiveness isn't mandatory, Warren said. Especially not when the person asking hasn't actually changed. Devin finally found some backbone. I've changed. I've tried to be a good father to both of them. I cut him off. You're not my father. You never were. I raised you. You moved into the house my actual father paid for. Married my mother after destroying their marriage. And let me believe he didn't want me. I took a step toward him. That's not being a father. That's being an opportunist. Mom tried to approach me. Hands outstretched. Sweetie, please, you don't understand what it was like. I stepped back. I understand perfectly. You cheated. Got pregnant. And when dad wouldn't play along with your fantasy, you made him the villain. It wasn't like that? Then how was it? I looked at her. Really looked at her. Explain it in a way that doesn't make you the bad guy. I'll wait. She couldn't. Warren added quietly, and you used our son as a weapon. Told him I abandoned him. Blocked every attempt I made to see him. I thought it was better. Mom's voice was barely a whisper. Better for who? Warren repeated. Not for him. He grew up thinking his father didn't want him. You did that. On purpose. Every single day. Mom was full on crying now. I was trying to protect him? From what? From me? Warren's voice stayed level. I never did anything to hurt him. You did. Howard tried one more time. This is ancient history. It's not ancient to him. Warren gestured at me. He just found out 3 weeks ago. This is brand new trauma. Caused by all of you. Ruth was crying now too. We made mistakes. You made choices, I said. There's a difference. Devin tried again. Voice desperate. What do you want from us? Warren's answer was simple. Nothing. I don't want anything from any of you. That silence was deafening. Because it was true. Warren didn't want their apology. Didn't want their explanation. Didn't want anything. He'd moved on 17 years ago. They were the ones who couldn't let go. So that's it? Devin's voice cracked. You're just going to cut us all off? You cut yourselves off, I said. 17 years ago. We're just finally acknowledging it. Howard pulled himself up to full height. Last attempt at control. You're both making a mistake. No. Warren's voice was quiet but absolute. The mistake was thinking you could pressure me into accepting betrayal. Into teaching my son that family means sacrificing yourself for other people's comfort. Ruth sobbed. We're still family. Family doesn't demand you break yourself to make them comfortable. Warren looked at each of them. You didn't want family. You wanted control. Sloane had been standing by the car this whole time. Silent. Watching. Now she stepped forward. Her voice was quiet but clear. Is it true? Everyone froze. Warren turned to look at her. His expression softened. Not much. But enough. What do you want to know? He asked quietly. Sloane's hands were shaking. Everything they're saying. About Mom and Devin. About you leaving. Is it true? Mom moved toward her. Sweetheart, you don't need to. Yes. Warren's voice cut through. It's true. Mom stopped. Warren, she's just a child. I stepped between them. She asked. She deserves the truth. Sloane looked at Warren. Waiting. He spoke calmly. Directly. Like he was explaining something difficult but necessary. Your mother and Devin had an affair while she was married to me. You're Devin's biological daughter. Not mine. Sloane's face went pale. When I found out, Warren continued, I asked for a divorce. The family, he gestured at Howard and Ruth, pressured me to stay. To raise you as my own. To pretend nothing happened. But you left, Sloane whispered. I left them. Not because I didn't care about you. You were innocent in all of this. Warren's voice stayed steady. But staying would have meant teaching your brother that betrayal is acceptable. That self-respect doesn't matter. I couldn't do that. Ruth stepped forward. This isn't appropriate. What wasn't appropriate, I said, was lying to both of us for 17 years. Sloane turned to Mom. You told me he abandoned us. Mom was crying again. I was trying to protect you? By lying? You don't understand. Then explain it. Sloane's voice was stronger now. Explain it in a way that makes sense. Mom couldn't. Warren filled the silence. Your mother blocked my attempts to see my son. 4 times in 6 months after the divorce. Every time, she said he didn't want to see me. He glanced at me. Because she'd spent months before that telling him I'd abandoned him. That I didn't care. He was 8 years old. He believed her. Sloane looked at me. Then back at Mom. So everything you told us was a lie? Not everything, Mom started. The important parts, I said. Yeah. Warren spoke again. Gentler. Your mother does love you. That's not a lie. But yes. The story about why I left, what kind of person I am, that was a lie. Sloane's voice cracked. Why would you do that? Mom reached for her. I thought it would be easier. Sloane pulled away. Easier for who? No answer. Devin finally stepped forward. Sloane, I'm still your father. That hasn't changed. You're not his. Sloane pointed at me. Her hand was shaking. You're the reason he grew up without one. Devon froze. You slept with his mom, Sloane continued. Voice breaking. While she was married to your brother. And then you just moved in. Took his place. It wasn't like that, Devon tried. Then what was it like? Sloane's tears were flowing now. Because it sounds like you destroyed everything. Howard tried to intervene. This is too much. No. Sloane's voice was sharp. You don't get to tell me what's too much. You all lied. For years. You told us he was the bad guy when he wasn't. She looked at Warren. You tried to see him 4 times in the first 6 months. More after that. Eventually I stopped trying because dragging him through court battles was hurting him more than my absence. Warren's voice stayed calm. I paid child support. Every month. Early. Set up a college fund. Documented everything. And waited. For what? For him to be old enough to find the truth himself. To make his own choice about whether he wanted me in his life. Sloane turned to Mom. And you knew all of this? Mom couldn't speak. Just stood there sobbing. You let him think his father didn't want him. Sloane's voice was barely above a whisper. How could you do that? No answer. The silence that followed was absolute. The last lie died right there on Warren's front lawn. And there was nothing left to say. Nobody spoke for a long moment. The weight of what Sloane said hung in the air. The truth nobody could argue with anymore. Howard tried one more time. Voice quieter now. Less certain. We did what we thought was right. Warren didn't even look at him. You did what was comfortable. There's a difference. Ruth's voice shook. We were trying to keep the family together. You kept yourselves comfortable, I said. You sacrificed Dad to do it. Made him the villain so you didn't have to deal with what Mom and Devon did. Mom finally found her voice. Desperate. Broken. I made a mistake. One mistake. Haven't I paid for it enough? Warren's response was devastating in its calm. You didn't make one mistake, Candace. You made hundreds. Every day you lied to him about me. Every visit you blocked. Every time you told him I didn't want him. Every time you rewrote history to make yourself the victim. He paused. Let that sink in. Those weren't mistakes. Those were choices. Mom's face crumpled. What do you want from me? Nothing. Warren's voice was flat. Final. I don't want anything from any of you. That hit harder than anger would have. Because it was true. Complete indifference. Devon's voice cracked. So that's it? You're just going to cut us all off? Pretend we don't exist? You cut yourselves off, I said. 17 years ago. When you chose lies over truth. When you chose comfort over integrity. We're just finally acknowledging it. Howard pulled himself up. One last attempt at patriarchal authority. You're both making a mistake. Family forgives. Family moves forward. You're letting pride destroy? Pride? Warren's eyebrows raised slightly. You think this is about pride? What else would it be? Boundaries. Warren's voice was quiet but absolute. You wanted me to raise another man's child. To sit at dinner tables with people who betrayed me. To teach my son that self-respect is negotiable. When I refused, you called it pride. You were being stubborn. I was refusing to break myself for your comfort. Warren looked at each of them. That's not stubbornness. That's self-preservation. Ruth was crying again. But we're still family. Family doesn't demand you break yourself to make them comfortable. Warren's voice stayed level. Family doesn't weaponize children. Family doesn't spend 17 years lying to protect themselves. We were protecting him, Ruth tried. You were protecting yourselves from consequences, I said. Stop pretending it was about me. Mom tried to approach again. Hands reaching. Please. Both of you. Just. Please. Please what? I asked. Please forgive you so you can feel better? Please pretend the last 17 years didn't happen? Please make this easier for you? She didn't answer. Because that's exactly what she wanted. Devon's voice was hollow. So there's nothing we can do? You could have told the truth, Warren said. 17 years ago. Or 16 years ago. Or 15. Or any day in between. You didn't. We're telling it now. Because you got caught. Not because you chose to. Silence. Sloane spoke quietly. Still standing apart from them. Can I talk to him sometime? She was looking at me. I paused. Looked at her. 9 years old. Caught in the middle of something she didn't create. When you're older, I said. When you're ready to hear everything. Not now. She nodded. understanding more than she should have too. Howard tried one final time. "You're making a mistake?" "No," Warren said simply. "You made the mistake. We're just refusing to live in it anymore." Ruth sobbed. "Please don't do this. We're not doing anything," I said. "We're just not pretending anymore." Mom looked at Warren. Then at me. Desperate for something. Anything. We gave her nothing. One by one, they turned back to their cars. No arguments left. No power left. No story left to twist. Howard opened his car door first. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't look back. Just got in. Ruth followed. Slower. She turned once, mouth opening like she wanted to say something. But there was nothing left to say. They drove away. Mom stood by her car. Hands on the door handle. Looking at me. I didn't acknowledge it. Didn't give her the closure she wanted. She finally got in. Devin climbed into the passenger seat. Their car pulled away from the curb. Disappeared down the street. Sloane was the last one. She'd gotten into the back seat of Mom's car but was looking out the window at me. I raised my hand slightly. Not a wave. Just acknowledgement. She nodded. Then they were gone. Warren and I stood in the driveway, watching the empty street. No shouting. No dramatic confrontation. No final words. Just over. "You okay?" Warren asked. "Yeah." I looked at him. "I am." We walked back toward the house. Past the half-built garden beds we'd been working on before they showed up. Warren looked at the lumber. "Want to keep going?" "Yeah." We got back to work. Measuring. Cutting. Assembling. The same mundane project we'd started that morning. Like nothing had happened. Except everything had happened. And nothing had changed. Because the truth was already out. The lies were already dead. The family was already broken. They just finally had to face it. I held a board in place while Warren screwed it down. The sound of the drill filled the silence. "They'll probably try again," I said. "Probably. What do we do?" "Same thing." Warren straightened up. "Tell the truth. Hold the boundary. Don't engage." "That simple?" "Yeah. It is." He was right. They wanted forgiveness without change. Comfort without accountability. Family without integrity. Warren spent 17 years refusing to give them that. And I was done too. We worked until the sun started setting. Got 2 beds built. Good progress. Warren went inside to start dinner. I stayed out, cleaning up tools. Thought about what Mom said. About being family. About working through it. She was wrong. We weren't family. We were people connected by blood and lies. Family is what Warren and I were building. In this house. In this garden. In the quiet moments of just existing together. Family is showing up. Telling the truth. Protecting each other. Not because you have to. Because you choose to. Warren chose that. When he refused to stay in a situation that would destroy him. When he fought for visitation rights. When he paid every dollar of support even when they blocked him from seeing me. When he kept 17 years of birthday gifts waiting for me to find him. He chose me. Every single day. By refusing to break. And I chose him. By seeking the truth. By walking away from the comfortable lie. By standing next to him today instead of defending them. That's what family actually is. Not obligation. Not blood. Not history. Choice. I walked back inside. Warren was at the stove making pasta. "Need help?" "Yeah." "Grab the colander." I did. We moved around the kitchen like we'd been doing this for years instead of weeks. And I realized something. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt chosen. Warren chose truth over comfort. Dignity over family pressure. Strength over surrender. And he taught me the same. Not through speeches or explanations. Through example. By walking away from people who expected him to break. And building something real instead. They wanted forgiveness without change. Family without integrity. Connection without effort. Warren and I built something different. Something that didn't require anyone to shrink. Something based on truth instead of lies. Something chosen instead of obligated. That's what family actually is. And I finally found it. Not in the house I grew up in. Not with the people who raised me. But here. With the man who refused to be destroyed. Who waited 17 years for me to find the truth. Who never stopped being my father. Even when everyone said he did. We ate dinner. Talked about the garden. Made plans for next weekend. Normal. Simple. Real. And for the first time in 17 years, I was home. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day.